But then the live
Yeah,
stream was just like, oh yeah, by the way, no, it's got a little blinky. Anyway, I guess we're live now, so I guess I
we're
should
live now.
fire this thing up. All right,
Yeah.
well, get cracking here. I'm going to fire up the audio share button and hit. Ooh.
Welcome to Earl and the Idiot, the show that gives you the answers you need to take your business to the next level. With Earl Flormata, one of Vancouver's most sought-after business and marketing consultants, author of Business Engine Optimization, consultant to over 60 successful businesses, an all-around evil marketing genius with a combined total of more than $70 million worth of sales to his credit. And some idiot. Okay, here we go.
Just like a guy, You're a highly sought after business and marketing pirate.
Pirate R.
Arr,
So today is toss like a pirate day. I got I like your background, by the way.
right? It's not making fun of you at all. Don't worry.
No, absolutely not. Because it's clearly on the wrong eye. So otherwise it'd be
Yeah,
making fun of
exactly. Yeah. I want to do like the Lord creating
Oh
Adam or
yeah,
whatever.
the fingers touching thing. There you
Yeah.
go. We're gonna use that for the thumbnail. Anyway,
Mm.
there you go.
Yes. Earl comes to us somewhat diminished
Somewhat
today.
diminished.
He
So
comes by his eye patch honestly.
yeah, so
You've
legit.
been
Uh,
shot in the eye with a laser,
yeah, I got shot in the eye
basically.
with a laser. Don't get diabetes, kids.
No.
Yeah. So they use the laser to blast all the errant blood vessels in my eye that were just kind of leaking in the back. So
Oh.
they I guess cauterized them shut. So anyway, makes
It,
for an interesting story and just, an interesting day. I have no depth perception at all whatsoever. I made it
it must have
home.
made for an interesting drive home.
Well, one, I
Hmm.
took an Uber. Two, my wife saw me trying to get to the door, and I missed the doorknob because I have no depth perception, and she's just laughing her ass off at me. I'm like, great, thanks, honey. So, and right before the show, we were just making fun of the eye patch, and we were talking about that one quote from the movie 300, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I should set you up and ask you. I trust that your little wound there will not affect your ability to podcast.
Yeah, and what was it? Hardly, my lord, it's just an eye.
It's just an eye. The Lord saw fit to grant me a spare, he says.
There you go. There you go. So I have a spare. It's fine.
Hmm.
And I have a picture with me with the eye patch on and the bird on my shoulder for the complete pirate look.
It was
So
really good. I laughed my ass off. Chelsea laughed her ass off too.
there you go. So eye patch acquired, bird acquired, full pirate look on.
Full pirate. So we're going pirate here too.
There you
Otherwise, other than well, yeah, you should if anyone asks you what happened, just tell them I got shot in the eye.
go. Yeah, with a laser.
Just don't mention it. Well, leave the laser part out. Like
Oh,
what? Really? Yeah. Then you can bring that up with a laser.
right.
Then they
Makes it
sort of
worse.
stop for a second. Wait a second.
Yeah.
You got shot with a laser? Yeah. Did you
Yep.
get LASIK eye surgery? Yeah.
No, actually, I didn't.
I guess it's not LASIK eye surgery. It's just
It was
straight
a
up.
different one. So anyway, so that hence but the show must go on.
The show
So
must go
we're
on.
still here
And
regardless of how many eyes I have.
it'll make it more interesting because you're all hopped up on painkillers now too.
Well, that
That'll make
too.
for a more exciting show. Did
So
you have a good week other than getting shot in the eye?
well, so far so good. Other than the whole eye situation, but we'll see if being hopped up on Tylenol makes me smarter or dumber. We'll see.
Yeah. Good thing one of us is sober. I can regulate. I
Excellent.
can stop you if you go off on a weird tangent.
No, Earl, turn around, go back. Oh yeah.
All right. So this today's topic was based on something you did experience this week. You said you spoke to some people about today's topic.
Well, that's actually how we brainstorm most of our topics, right? I just go, hey, this is what I talked about between the last show and this show. I give you a bunch of ideas, and then we go, that one, and then we surrender it and sacrifice it to ye old AI gods, and then the
Yeah.
AI gods tell us what to talk about. So,
Yeah. Well, I pick it based on you always seem at least one of the topics you come up with is something I've been running into in my own business this week.
hmm.
And it just so happens this week. So we're going to talk about barter, using barter and trade which
Yes,
also
sir.
works with pirates. You know, they're trading. They trade. I don't know. I guess they just steal. It's not really trading.
Well, I'm sure they trade stuff for rum. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. Well, they get into port with all their booty, and they trade it, no doubt, for
Exactly.
goods and services on shore.
There you go. So,
Um, but yeah, no. It just so happens I literally just signed up one of my clients for the Barter Network, Barter First, America
oh,
First.
nice.
That's something different. Barter First Network. And then randomly, the lady from Barter First was at the Burnaby Board of Trade meeting on Friday. I
Oh,
didn't even
cool.
know. I didn't realize till after I learned the name. I was like, that name sounds familiar. And I go home and check my emails. Oh yeah, that was her.
Nice. Well, Amber is lovely. So,
Yeah. And then also at the Board of Trade thing, we won a coupon for 8 days of parking at Park and Fly in Vancouver,
I
which
won that actually the last,
you won that?
and then a friend of mine was going to go fly somewhere. They were going to Disneyland, I think, Disney
Okay.
World.
Yeah.
There's some Disney
Well,
park,
one of the Disneys.
and they were going to actually park at the parking lot of the airport. So we just gave it to them. So
There you
there
go.
you go.
We do not have any plans to fly, nor do we have friends who we know of having plans to fly. So
Well, there you go. So what we can put it up as a prize if anyone actually identifies you as the idiot out in the
oh, there
out in
you go.
wild. You can
Well,
win 8 days of park and fly.
I'm trying to sell it on Facebook Marketplace, but no takers so far.
Yeah,
Pretty
fair enough.
niche market. Anyway, so here we go. We want to talk barter.
All right. Trade
So
deal.
let's actually, I always like to start by let's define what we mean when we say
Let's define
barter.
what we mean. Okay, so what's the question? What is barter and what's trade?
Sure, let's just go that basic.
All right, so it's real simple. You learned this stuff in kindergarten, right? So
Yeah,
you went to school with a
you
peanut
learned this
butter
stuff in
jelly
kindergarten.
sandwich, and no, your buddy went to school with a ham and cheese, and you both want some of the other stuff, so you trade each other half a sandwich, and now you get the best of both worlds. Now you get the peanut butter and the ham and cheese, right? Just half of each, right? So you're just doing a trade, and in business, this is something that a lot of the bigger businesses end up doing, and people don't realize that like multi-billion-dollar businesses have entire departments dedicated to barter and trade, which people don't really put two and two together. They go, really? Are you kidding me right now? Like, no. Like I know a couple of billionaires in town who have entire departments just focused on barter and trade because that makes their businesses that much more money, because of the business math. And I think we're going to cover that in one of the points. I was pre-reading one of the points and was like, oh yeah, this
The
is why you
business
do it.
map.
And so the
Did
thing
you
is
say
that
business? Did you say business map?
math, not map. I
Oh,
know you have
math.
a
Oh,
brain,
I
but
was gonna say it would be perfect for the pirate to be like a treasure map, but okay.
so we need a
Business
map.
math. Got it.
No,
That's
so
much less
business
exciting.
math. But
Hmm.
but what people don't realize is that there are giant barter networks that already exist. And if you join these barter networks, what you can do is you can do a multi-way trade. So instead of just trading the peanut butter and jelly for the ham sandwich, right? You know, you can do a three-way trade or a four-way trade or a five-way trade. And when you enter these networks, you can there's a storage facility that you can store the barter for a later date and use it for something else. You don't have to trade right this minute. You can trade later. So you can there's debits and credits in these networks. And the other thing is that the barter network. So we're going to go into barterception, and
Hmm.
the barter networks can barter with other barter networks. So I was a member of the two major ones here in the Lower Mainland. So Barter First is one of them, right? And
Hmm.
I was a member of these two networks, and I was able to use my barter or trade dollars internationally because there's other networks in other countries that will accept them at trade, and they treat it almost like a forex transaction. So the one that's locally here will trade with the one in Indonesia or whatever, and yeah, you can trade points and dollars and stuff back and forth and get goods and services from other places. This is in fact how I found out it's actually cheaper, and this is kind of a weird barter fact. It was
Hmm.
actually cheaper to print outside of North America and have it shipped to wherever you were going than it was to print and bring it with you. So we were going to a a trade show in Florida, and it was cheaper for us to print in Germany, of all places, and ship it to Florida than put crap in a suitcase from Vancouver and bring it with us.
Because you were bartering, or just
No, the bartering actually, no, the bartering on top made it even cheaper.
right?
So, but if you were actually just to print and ship it to Florida outside of the country, actually, it's funny. I just came back from my buddy's restaurant. He prints his menus in Vietnam because it's cheaper to print in Vietnam and ship it here than it is to print here, which is
crazy.
insane. So
Crazy
I
world
always
over there.
thought that was a funny business math thing. But then when I look at the numbers, and I'm like, oh, you're right. You know, it's like, oh my gosh. So fancy print stuff is actually cheaper to print in Korea, Germany, and Vietnam than it is to print here in Vancouver.
Oh my
And
God.
then even to ship it to someplace else, like if you're going to California or whatever, to ship it someplace else is cheaper than it is to just print it locally and then bring it with you, which I thought was insane.
We're
And
gonna
then if
have
you
the
barter and trade
the-
stuff, which we'll talk about the math behind that later, it's even cheaper. So yeah,
we're gonna have a big printing shop is gonna put the kibosh on us. We're gonna be in big trouble with those guys. The big
don't
print lobby.
still work with local print shops because some stuff is cheaper to print, some stuff no. You just print locally, like trade show booths, like make that stuff here. So so there you go.
Roger. All right, well, let's get into this barter thing. Let's dive right into it.
All right.
So you asked our AI overlords, acting as a business expert, what are 3 reasons to use barter and trade to grow my local business? 2 things to avoid when using barter, and 1 red hot tip for really using barter and trade to amp up business growth. How about that? Do you think has AI learned your prompts yet? Be like, can you write me a prompt for next week? And it'll like write the prompt in the same style that you write the prompt in?
Sadly, I always open up a new conversation every time I ask it a new question for a new show. I always open up a new conversation. So I've never actually asked it. Hey, that was really great from last week. You want to make us a one for next week? And no, I haven't tried that yet. Maybe I will try that for next week. We'll see.
We're doing barterception and we're doing AIception.
Yeah, no kidding.
Okay, so using barter and trade can be a strategic approach to grow your local business. Here are 3 reasons to consider. 1, expanding customer base. Bartering allows you to trade your products or services with other local businesses or individuals, potentially reaching new customers who may not have otherwise discovered your offerings. This can be particularly useful for small businesses looking to attract a wider audience.
So expanding your customer base, absolutely. I'm going to start mixing a couple different things today. So barter, it's one of my favorite topics. Expanding your customer base. We did this one restaurant that sold pasta. And if you understand pasta has a ridiculous margin, right? Like think about it. Like how much is a plate of pasta at the restaurant? $20. How much is a box of pasta? $1, right? So
Yeah.
Just using those numbers, there's 2,000% margin. Obviously, it's not 2,000% because you still got to get take care of the vegetables, take care of your
The juicy sauces,
the sauce, the meat that goes on it, whatever else. But you're still talking a pretty damn good thing. And so, expanding customer base. So we had this restaurant do a barter deal, and instead of paying $100,000 to redo the floors, redo the walls, get new furniture, blah blah blah, they did it all on trade and barter. So when they did that, here's how it worked. It's the technical term for it is called a script. I don't know why it's called a script. It's a coupon to get food, right? So on trade day, you got to get this thing called a script. I don't know why they call them scripts still to this day, but
you sure that wasn't script?
Oh, maybe it's script. Maybe you're right.
Hang on, I'm gonna look up the definition of script.
What's the definition of script? We'll find out.
We'll find out.
So while you're looking up script, what happened
script
was
is any substitute for legal tender.
So maybe it is. I mean, right? It is script. So it would script. There you go. And expanded their customer base. What they did was they obviously put this on the Trade and Barter Network, and everybody who was on there came and they checked out the place. And like any good business owner, they upsold them more stuff besides the stuff that was on script. So here's your plate of pasta. Would you like a glass of wine on the side of that? right? And here's your plate of pasta. Would you like dessert afterwards? So these people came who've never heard of this restaurant before, tried it out, bought the upsells. And the funny thing is the desserts and the drinks are the other highest margin things that you can have at a restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
And they loved it. And when they came back, well, they didn't have the script anymore because they spent it all. So now they're spending cash. And the restaurant got to save on the on their trade, but then they also acquired new customers. So yeah, expanding your customer base, absolutely. Yes, and more yes.
So basically the barter network itself is its own communication vehicle. Yeah, it's like its own little universe that you might not communicate into otherwise.
Well, because you have no idea who all the other members are, right? Because usually on one of these things, for one of these things to exist, there's like a critical mass that's required for a network to survive and do somewhat well. So, there's got to be like hundreds to thousands of members on these things. So if you're advertising your stuff on, 100% script and someone's never tried your place out and they're hungry and they're in your area, they'll give it a shot.
Mm-hmm. So how does that work? What's the nitty gritty of like, how do they tell their members? Is there a newsletter? Is there a website? Is there text blast? How do they?
All of the above. All of the above. So there's text blasts, newsletters. They run local events where people can come and meet you and greet you and talk to each other and trade stuff. And then there's also the people who are running the network itself. There's advisors on the network. So when you call in saying, "Hey, this is what I do. This is what I need. Who do you have on trade or barter that can provide me what I need?" And it might end up being, like I said earlier, like a multi-way trade, right? So you might be a plumber and you might not need accounting services, but you might need spaghetti. And if there's a three-way trade between the plumber, the spaghetti guy, and accountant, hey, everybody's happy.
Okay, but you don't necessarily have to negotiate that three-way trade. You just have to.
No, you don't negotiate the three-way trade. The network does it for you on your behalf.
Nice. So are there deals above and beyond, like you've got your basic, something is on the barter network and it's got a price basically listed there, right? Do people ever like negotiate private side deals or?
Oh yeah, all the time. People can you can always do a direct trade, not necessarily on the network afterwards, right? So, because if you have a direct trade, like, just a two-way trade, here's something, it just goes back to the kindergarten example, right? Here's my peanut butter for the ham and cheese. If it's just a direct trade, there's no need to necessarily involve the network if you guys already know each other, right? Yeah.
Okay, so that would bypass the network.
Yeah, obviously you want to stick within the network to learn about new trade opportunities and new stuff. And it depends on the rules of engagement of your network, right? So, you don't want to meet people and then bypass the network, because then the network will die, because then, no one's using the network, because the network gets their little commission as well. But it's in your best interest as long as the math adds up. You just do the math, right? Like what would it have taken to run a marketing campaign to acquire this many customers who want spaghetti, right? Versus how much would it cost us to, renovate the restaurant? Does the math make sense? If the answer is yes, give her.
Okay.
So there you go.
So I'm curious about the math. I have some questions about the math. So, but that works perfectly with the next point here. So let's charge ahead. Yeah. Cost savings. Barter and trade can help you save on operational costs. By exchanging goods or services instead of spending cash, you can conserve your financial resources for other essential business expenses such as marketing. Marketing. Spend more on marketing, infrastructure, or hiring additional staff. Okay, so let's do the math here on this. How are you saving money by bartering instead of?
So let's go back to the spaghetti example, right? So they wanted I believe the renovations were somewhere between 80 and 100,000. Let's just use 100,000 for easy math. So on $100,000 worth of renovations, it would have cost them 100 grand to change the floors, change the walls, upgrade all the furniture, blah, blah, blah. Well, what's that math in dollars? $100,000 is $100,000. There's no fancy math. It's just, that's what it costs, right? So for tables and chairs and whatnot. But if you do this on script, on trade, what happens is that you're trading based on the value of your trade, but you're getting that at the cost of your goods. Okay. So let's say that it only costs them 20%. So instead of costing them $100,000 to renovate the restaurant, they gave away $100,000 worth of value, but they're only putting up $20,000 in costs. So
Right.
there's $20,000 in costs. So this is for the spaghetti, the meat sauce, the vegetables, and everything else. And then let's call labor another 10 grand. Okay, so there's $30,000 of actual hard cost of staff, labor, overhead, and materials. So those are my $30,000. I'm only putting up 30,000, but I got $100,000 worth of, renovations and furniture.
Right.
So I saved myself $70,000, and if I need a new website, I got $70,000 burning a hole in my pocket. Hey, Dan, I want to help me build a website for 70 grand. And that's where you can spend more money on marketing. Do you see how that works?
Right. Yeah. Okay, but you got to assume in there that that sale through barter is not taking the place of another sale that would have been done through cash.
Correct. You don't want to sacrifice a cash sale for a barter sale, right? Absolutely not. Cash is king. You want the money. But you're only trading excess stuff that's been sitting on the shelf anyways. So in the case of the restaurant, there was a construction firm who had a bunch of extra planks of wood after another project. So this stuff is just sitting in the warehouse doing nothing. Well, these guys needed a new floor. Hey, it's just so happened that there was enough wood to build out this new floor. Everybody wins. The guy who has the wood just sitting in the warehouse doing nothing just freed up a bunch of warehouse space.
Okay. But say for the example that someone like me who's building a website, which is just purely my labor.
Right.
If I'm building something for barter, am I missing out? Or is it just a question of that's more business I wouldn't have had otherwise?
So in your case, it doesn't make as much sense to barter that particular piece of the equation, right? So in your case, I would switch it up. So we're gonna give a quick preview here of the hack of the week, but you don't necessarily have to trade your main thing. If you gave a Dan's big old ebook of 10 things you ought to know before you build a website, and you were to sell that, but you were also able to sell that on barter, people could look at that thing and go, hey, that sounds real good. These are 10 things I can avoid before I blow up my website. And then if they like what they see from the barter deal, because you've given them some knowledge, they might go, hey, this Dan guy pretty smart, right? He says he's an idiot, but I think those are lies. And I think he'd make a pretty good website. So then they hire you on cash for the website, but they got the information on barter. Does that make sense?
Yeah. But then conversely, or counterpoint, or maybe I'm an idiot. Let's say I'm working on 2 clients' websites and I've got room in my schedule for a third, but I don't have a cash sale ready to go on that.
Correct.
If I grab the barter to fill my dance plate,
dance
card, fill my plate, fill my card, then I'm still coming out ahead because I wouldn't have had that gig otherwise.
Correct. And then what you do is you spend your extra barter dollars on some sort of media purchase or some sort of marketing thing. And now Dan gets a billboard, or Dan gets to be in a magazine, or Dan gets the radio ad that you normally would have paid full price for, but then you just traded your time for it instead. And that radio ad, that billboard, that magazine cover nets you, again, more cash clients, and you end up net ahead.
So there was something when I signed my client up, I didn't quite understand this, but there is a fee to the barter network, which is 7% in, 7% out. So you lose 14% or you spend 14% of the value.
15, because it's 7. Is it 7 or 7.5? I
thought it was 7.
Okay, well, let's call it 14. If it's 14%, there's no difference in utilizing the barter network. So if it's 7 in and 7 out, then it would be paying a referral fee for somebody referring you business, right? I pay upwards of anywhere between 10 to 20% when somebody refers me business. The fact that the barter network's only taken 14 is a deal to me, because I normally would have paid 20. So if I'm paying 14 for them to refer me a deal, and then they're exposing me to their network, and then I get to be put in the newsletter, and for 14%, that's cheap. I'll take that all day.
Right.
Right.
Okay. And it makes sense for the one client I've got, which is a school, an acting school.
Mm-hmm.
So if he should only throw open courses he's trying to fill up. It's maybe has a few extra seats in it.
Oh yeah, so I used to be an adjunct professor at a post-secondary education place, and so there were 27 seats in the class full out of a class of 30. Well, I'm already the prof. They're already paying me to be there. What does it cost to give away those 3 extra seats for trade or barter? And you put 3 bums in seats for people who want to train their staff or whatever, for whatever reason they want to train their staff. We get 3 more seats. Let's say that the course is $3,000. That's how much the average course was ish at the school. That's $9,000 more that the school would, quote unquote, pull in from the trade and barter. Now, what the school would end up doing is they would print business cards for the staff. They would get, for example, a trade show space on barter or trade for the school. They would get radio ads. Actually, I won't name the school. It's not that I don't like them, because it's, I don't want to name people that I'm helping out all the time. So, because they pay me for my advice, so they don't necessarily need me to share all their secrets. But they got radio ads, they got stand-up banners. They got more equipment for the school. I think they got another computer or 2 in exchange for 3 seats that were empty anyways, right? Think about a hotel room, right? A hotel, if they don't sell that room is gone forever, because the night has already passed. So they're better off. They're better off getting someone to come in on trade and get some value for the room rather than 0 value for the room. And the same is true for a school. So this is an acting school. Let's say they have a classroom with 20 people in it. They've only sold 15 seats. Sell the other 5 on barter or trade. You might land 2 or 3 more seats. That's free money you wouldn't have gotten otherwise. You're already paying a teacher. You're already paying the rent. There's no difference in overhead or cost to deliver.
Right.
Right. So, yeah, and that's the math that you have to look into. Are you better off doing the barter trade or not doing the barter trade? And that's the math you have to figure out, right?
So if you were let's say you're a contractor, like a painter, and you're already run off your feet, and you can't keep up with all the clients you've got, you wouldn't recommend that guy get on the barter network necessarily.
No, absolutely not. There's no point for him to get on the barter network, because the barter network, the point of it is to trade excess hours. So if he had a bunch of staff sitting around doing nothing because they didn't have the amount of jobs, and he's paying them anyways, you got to pay him to be there for all the other paying jobs. But if they're only working like 70% of the time, and they're sitting around for 30% of the time with their finger up their nose, you might as well deploy them.
That makes sense.
Deploy them, get out there, because you have to pay that staff's wage whether they're working or not as the business owner, right? So you might as well get them out there doing stuff, and now at least your accounting bill is paid, or your printing bill is paid, or your spaghetti bill is paid, whatever you wanted to trade for, right?
You need one that's a gas bill, pays for the gas.
There are ones that can do that. So there's
gas. You can barter
gas. On trade before. There's I've traded for cable bills, internet bills. I've traded for jewelry. I've traded for the jewelry, because the pirate background reminded me of that deal. Someone ended up selling their entire jewelry store on trade, and it was awesome. There was a person who was selling Canucks tickets, so you can get hockey tickets on trade, baseball tickets on trade. There were soccer tickets on trade. There were just entire shows on trade. Fantastic. We got spa, like a massage, and one of those sauna soaky things or whatever on trade, right? So there's so many different things. It's just your imagination's the limit. That's it.
What's the weirdest thing you can think of that's on trade? You mentioned a bunch there, but
I can't say it because it'd be bad for the show.
What's the second weirdest? What's one step back from that?
If anybody wants to ask me, I will tell you privately. I just won't say it publicly. But I have some crazy trade stories. So if you're interested, come find me, and I'll tell you.
You're giving me those when we're off the air.
There you absolutely when we stop recording. But yeah, I gave you a bunch of trade.
Can you tell us a crazy trade that's like one step this side of inappropriate?
Let me think. We did a trade. So this is already getting into the gray. We did a trade deal. So just FYI, and this is going to get me in trouble.
Oh my gosh, you're making excuses.
And we
already.
didn't do this with any local ones. This was in the U.S. We did a trade deal. So the IRS values a trade dollar as equal to a U.S. dollar.
Right, you have to declare it all as income.
And the same thing with the CRA.
Okay.
And the funny thing is, if you were to donate a trade dollar, even though you acquired the trade dollar at a lesser rate, so let's go with spaghetti guy, right? Now the spaghetti guy didn't do this, so I'm not throwing spaghetti guy under the bus. I'm using the same spaghetti math, right? Somebody touched my spaghetti. So I still watch that stupid Instagram.
And every time it comes up in my feed, I watch it.
Watch it. This is your fault. Anyway, so let's say that the spaghetti guy sells $100 worth of spaghetti, right? It only costs him in our business, in our math example, $30. But he can't spend that trade dollar before the end of the year, and he doesn't want to declare it as income. So what can he do with it? Donate it. There are charities that will accept trade dollars because the trade dollars help them get stuff. So in an example in the States, what we did was there was a charity looking for a van because they needed to get their volunteers from point A to point B. And there was a guy with an old ass van that he wanted to get rid of. So we told him to slap it on the trade network. The charity got the van off this guy for trade dollars, trade bucks. I can't remember what platform it was on now. It's been so long. And the guy who donated the trade bucks to the charity got a tax receipt. Everybody won. Right? That makes sense. So I've done like a bajillion trades in my day. So I get that, and so that ends up, I mean, it's all legal from a legal perspective. It's just, just the people who would take advantage of that system. So don't take advantage of it. Don't do anything weird. Just
be a pirate.
Don't be a trade pirate. Stay on the up and up and do everything properly. But if you look at the numbers, again, I'm crossing some examples here, but just for easy math, let's say it cost them $30 or so 30 cents on the dollar, right? If he donates that dollar and gets back half as a tax credit, it cost him 30 cents, but he got 50 cents for it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like he netted 20 cents, which is huge, right? Like show me something where I can put in 30 cents and get back 20 cents on top. That's like a 40, 60%. I can't do math right now because I'm hopped up on Tylenol. But let's just call it 40% ROI. That's huge. 40% return on money in a year? I'll take it. Right? What does a mutual fund get you? 5? Right? So
you're lucky.
Yeah.
All right. I'm okay. I'm also tapped out on math, so let's move along here.
Stop asking math questions if you don't want the math.
Yeah, right. Asking the wrong guy. Number 3, building relationships. Engaging in barter and trade fosters relationships with other businesses in your local community. These relationships can lead to long-term partnerships, collaborations, and referrals, which can be invaluable for your business's growth and sustainability.
So yeah, let's go back to spaghetti guy. I'm going to beat on spaghetti guy today. So because the people came there on script the first time round and they liked it, when they come back, they probably have run out of the script. So when they come back, they're going to bring cash. So if you do a good job on the trade deal and they like the spaghetti, you're still making money on the drinks. You're still making money on the desserts. But if they come back and they like the place so much, now they brought their partner or their wife or their husband or whatever, right? Now they're bringing back cash. So if you give them a good experience the first time round, they'll tell their friends. And more likely than not, the friends have no idea that the first time that this guy went, he did it on trade. Because no one asks, hey, so when you went to that restaurant, how did you buy it? They just said the spaghetti was good, right?
Yeah.
So there you go.
And, I'm just thinking about this too. It feels like let's say you had a guy come, lay some carpets at your business on trade.
Yeah.
It kind of feels like you're in a little secret society. Like a little secret handshake, nudge, nudge, wink, wink.
Because
I never heard of this. Before you told me about it, I never heard of this.
Well, someone's going to ask you, hey, where'd you get your carpets done? And you go, Steve did it. Now, are they going to ask you the stupid question, how did you pay Steve? No, they're going to say, hey, carpets are great. I like these. I would also like these carpets. Introduce me to your guy.
Right.
And that's it. So you do a good job on trade, you're going to get cash referrals that come in because that's just how it works. So
Groovy.
there you go. So yeah, building relationships.
I think the barter network needs a secret handshake. So when a guy shows up to do work on barter, you got a little secret barter handshake you guys do. So
I'm pretty sure Suki and Amber will let you do a secret handshake for barter. We'll see.
I'll submit a proposal. I'll come up with something.
You can ask them nicely.
All right. So what do we avoid? What is the dark side of trade and barter? Apparently, it is one, lack of clarity in agreements. One common mistake is not clearly defining the terms of the barter agreement. Ensure that both parties involved understand and agree upon the value of the exchanged items or services, the timeline, and any conditions. Putting everything in writing is crucial to avoid misunderstandings later on. So sounds like good advice in general.
Yeah, absolutely. So in the case of the trade networks, you're protected because the trade networks have rules. Mm-hmm. In the case of trading outside of the trade network, this is where these things can go sideways. If you're operating outside of the network and one person values the spaghetti at $20 and the other person values the spaghetti at $18.75, you're going to have a fight over $1.25, right? So that valuation rule makes sense, absolutely. So lack of clarity agreement, yeah, you have to call a spade, and you have to trade fairly, right? So if the price of the spaghetti, so let's go the other way. Let's go the other direction. If the price of the spaghetti on the menu is $20, and you say if you pay me cash, it's $20, but if you pay me trade, it's $25 in trade. You've just devalued the trade dollar, and then the network implodes. Right? You can't do that. So if it's $20 cash, it's $20 trade, and it has to stay even, Steven. Otherwise, IRS, CRA, all the taxmen get really angry. The trade network explodes, and you get kicked out of the secret society, and no more handshake for you.
Oh, cut your hands off, so you can't do the handshake anymore.
So there you go. Lack of clarity agreements. Just call a spade, trade fairly, and just be fair with your valuation.
Yeah. All right. Number 2, chance of having your hands cut off if you abuse the secret handshake. Just kidding. It doesn't say that. Number 2 says over-reliance on barter. While barter and trade can be a valuable strategy, relying solely on this approach can limit your business's growth potential. Ensure that you continue to use conventional revenue-generating methods. Remember, business owners, continue to generate revenue in your business, such as cash, sales, and marketing, alongside barter to maintain a balanced business model.
You can't necessarily always eat your barter. I know we've been beating spaghetti to death, but man cannot live on spaghetti alone. So
I'm going to try.
And the problem is you're going to run out, right? The barter is seasonal and works in ebbs and flows. So sometimes you're going to see a whole bunch of restaurant script on the network, and sometimes you're not. Sometimes you're going to see a bunch of hockey tickets. As much as I like hockey, I can't eat the hockey ticket, right? So over reliance on barter, the rule of thumb that I've heard from multiple barter network owners. So my buddy Scott was one of the owners of the other networks, and he always stuck to the numbers. Never go over between 10 and 20% barter. Like don't go over that. 80% of your business should still be cash, right? Because you might not find what you need on the barter network when you need it. So cash is still always king. Barter comes second, but barter is a better deal actually than cash. But the timing of barter is different, right? If you need the furniture right the hell now and there's no furniture for sale on the network, well, then you're paying cash for that stuff, right? So yeah, no, like 20% is even high. I would say, don't go over 12 to 15% of barter in your business from a percentage standpoint.
All right, better pick it up here. So here's the red hot tip for using barter. Leverage networking. Actively participate in local business networking events, chambers of commerce, and trade associations. Building a strong network can help you identify potential barter partners, access resources, and gain insights into your local market. By fostering meaningful relationships within your community, you'll be better positioned to leverage barter opportunities for your business's growth.
Well, agreed there, 100%. Agreed there on all those points. So if you...
that's not really particular to barter, though. Leveraging your networking gets you regular business as well as barter business.
Absolutely, but like this, what this reminds you is like don't discount the people that you meet because they can't necessarily buy from you right away on cash. They might be able to trade, and so just keeping an open mind, going, hey, you know what? Um, I don't, I need an accountant, I need a bookkeeper, I need a print shop, I need a whatever, right? And whatever that is, if you do it on, like you said, trade or barter, you never know. So just keep an open mind with networking. Absolutely, I agree with that. I agree with the tip. So network, and then just explore all avenues to work with somebody, because you never know, that trade might make you $1 million.
Brilliant. All right, you ready with the soundbite?
Yes, sir. Hang on, we got the
It's time for hack of the week.
hack of the week. So the hack of the week is to convert your knowledge. So what you know, everybody knows something. Otherwise, you wouldn't be running a business if you didn't know anything, right? And you want to convert that into intellectual property, right? And if you can convert it into intellectual property, so I'll give you an example. We did a trade and barter deal with a baker, a bake shop. And what they did was they turned their knowledge into a cookbook, a recipe book. And when Christmas rolled around, everyone loved this guy's stuff. So like, you know what? We're gonna put some of our best recipes in our cookbook, and we're gonna sell the cookbook on trade if you want to get some of these things on trade dollars. And what happened was people got the recipes and da da da. And then the hilarious thing is, when people saw how much of a pain in the ass it was to make some of these recipes, they're like, screw that, I'm just gonna hire the professional. And the funny thing is, even though people thought that, oh well, you're selling away your secrets, the cookie sales went up, right? So
Right.
so if you can convert your knowledge into intellectual property, turn that into a course, anyone who gets the knowledge will learn your stuff, and they'll see how much trouble it is to do it. Some of them will just hire you, go, nope, screw it, I don't want to do it. Some of them will maybe bring you on as a consultant, so they can, okay, can you show me exactly how you do that particular thing? I bought your book, this is cool, can I hire you as a consultant to come help me? Like, here's an example, right? Like, my desk, you can't see it because it's in front of me, is a rat's nest of wires and USB plugs and everything. I'm going to hire somebody. So I actually reached out to the partner. I might find somebody who can actually do cable management on barter and trade. And if that happens, I'll put some of my stuff, my lessons and my courses that I teach already anyways, right, up on barter and trade. What does it cost me? Technically nothing, because I'm doing the course anyways, right? So I'm giving away empty seats. Like, let's say I rent a classroom, it's got 30 seats. I only sold 28. So there's 2 empty seats. Well, would I rather have 2 empty seats or 2 barter seats? I'll take the barter seats, please. Right? And then someone can fix my crazy rat's nest of wires. And then, the next video doesn't look like I'm, living under a cave. So, so that's kind of the way that you can think about these networks. So I hope that helps. So there's your hack of the week, right? Like just turn your knowledge into this, because there's no cost to deliver this beyond what you're already paying for it anyways. So
Have you found a cable guy yet?
No, I don't have a cable guy yet. So I am looking for a cable management person. So if anyone knows
cable management is a hobby of mine. I love organizing cables, actually.
Oh, I didn't know
never
that.
called myself a professional.
So, well, hell, if you can fix this monstrosity, yeah, let's do it. Trade.
Maybe we'll barter for it. We'll barter for it later.
I'll buy you lunch
in exchange for stick fighting lessons.
Stick fighting lessons and food. There you
go. Yeah. All right. I guess that's it. Anything to add?
Show. Well, thank you very much. And
thank you, Earl. Thanks everyone for joining us. Thank you, as always, to the AI overlords who make it all possible.
Absolutely.
And
the crazy looking pirate behind your back. That's crazy.
And I can't believe we didn't talk like a pirate the whole time.
No, I wouldn't. I can't do that. I always fail talk like a pirate day. I can't hold a straight face after the first couple R's, and that's it.
What's did you hear about that new pirate movie?
Which one?
It's rated R.
Almost as good as what's the pirate's favorite letter, right?
Yeah, not R, but the C.
There you go. Nice. Well played.
There we go. On that note, that's it for me. You guys drive safe. Thanks for joining us. Thanks, Earl. Play us out.
Cheers, everybody. And hopefully, oh shoot, next, this is gonna be hilarious. Next week, I get to do the other eye.
Oh my god!
So the next show, it's going to be on the other damn eye.
I'm gonna just swap the pirate guy for the other side next week.
Just mirror it. Oh my gosh! This is terrible. We're gonna have 2 shows with the same background, but it'll be hilarious. Anyway, I'm playing this out. Thanks everybody for watching. Catch y'all next week.
Ciao.
Thanks for listening to Earl and the Idiot. We hope you learned something you can take action on this week. For more information or to contact the show, visit earlandtheidiot.com. And until next time, remember what Shakespeare said. The fool doth think he is wise, but the wise man knows himself to be a fool.
Bye.